So the key to patience is perspective. So the next time you feel out of patience, just let that come back to you. It's a perspective issue. It's not just be patient. Good luck with that one. It's a perspective, which will probably lead to a question of, how should I think about this? How do I get that perspective? When I was going through some of my early life coaching and stuff with some different people, my questions were always, how do I do this? 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 For some reason, my coaches never gave me the answers. Made me so mad. Until finally I realized I'm asking the wrong question. I'm an adult. Don't tell me how to do it. Tell me how to think. How should I think? What perspective? I can see his face right now. Big smile. Now you're asking the right question. I'll tell you how you need to think about this. Help me learn how to think, which led to emotions, which led to beliefs, which led to actions and results. It all started there. If he'd have just told me how to act and what to do, the next time I had a problem, help me again, help me again, help me again. Does that make sense? Okay? But again, we don't learn this growing up. Okay? We don't learn it in school. So many of us get out there in life and we're just kind of ill-equipped. And so life becomes our teacher. And how many of you guys know life can be a pretty tough teacher? You know, I wrote that a lot in my journal. Life is a difficult teacher. Life is a harsh teacher. I wrote that a lot. So, let's see here. I want to draw your attention here on page 11 to numbers 1, 2, and 3. These are the tools. Okay? These are the tools that life will use to form you and shape you. Number 1, I call it the fire. It's the pressure. It's the difficulty. It's the struggle. I call that the fire. Okay? I'm in the midst of a fire right now. What does fire do? Fire softens us. Fire gets us off the beaten path. Fire begins to break us up. If you look at a blacksmith, the blacksmith takes the iron, shoves it into the fire so that it becomes moldable, becomes soft. And then they go from the fire and they put it over here onto the anvil. And what do they start doing with it? Hammering it. They start beating on it. The beating, the hammer, is what I call the truth or perspective. Getting the right perspective. And then, once the perspective is put into you, then you go to the next phase, which is what I call the water. Psst. You guys ever seen that before? You know, again, Branson. The steam's going up. Why do they put it in the water? Does anybody know? What is the purpose?
To set it.
Very good. To seal it in there. To set the thing. And then what do they do next? Fire, hammer, water. Fire, hammer, water. Fire, hammer, water. Fire. There's the process of turning a block of metal that's very hard into a work of art that is now usable in life. But the block of metal isn't good for anything. Or if it is good for anything, it's good for only a couple things. But if we can form this thing and shape it, then it can be useful for many, many things. But the process is fire, hammer, water. So what I call this water is getting together with somebody in your life. When you say, this is what I'm thinking, Ashley, then that person can go, yes, that is the right perspective you want to hang on to. Or we come and say, Julie, this is the way I'm thinking. And we hear, okay, that's not good. You need some more time in the fire.
Yeah.
You know? Or you need a little bit more banging. And the reason why I say banging is because you have to hammer into your head the right way to think. Because for however old you are, you have had that many years of your brain being infected with other stuff. And no matter how long you've been alive, I promise, if you are 30 years old, you have not turned 31. Therefore, you don't have the thinking of a 31-year-old yet. How do I get the thinking of a 31-year-old? Fire, hammer, water. Fire, hammer, water. So when it comes to my life coaching or marriage counseling and stuff that I do with folks, that's what I do. Fire, hammer, water. People come in and they go, man, my life sucks. Okay, welcome to the fire. I help them understand that's the fire. We have to get that perspective that that's what that is. It's not an evil thing. That person is not an evil person. You are just in the fire. You need to look at it as the fire. Okay, now I can embrace it. Now, when we get together, okay, how is the fire causing you to think? They're stupid. It's not fair. Okay, no, it's not the right way. We need to go to hammer. Okay? And then when they go, okay, you know, this week I had this situation, and I wanted to do this, but I remembered, and so I didn't go there, and it really made a difference, and I did this, and I go, yes! It's exactly right. That's the water. Does that make sense? Fire, hammer, water. But in your life, how many of you guys have had a person that you have walked with deliberately? When I say deliberately, it means it's been on your calendar on a consistent basis to get together with over a season. When I say a season, I mean like 2-3 years to do this with. Nobody does. I didn't until I was 37 years old. Not because there weren't people available, but because, Ashley, I already knew it. I don't need those people. I got it. But if you ask me, I'm just doing the best I can. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We just don't know this. Now, because I know this now, you can believe that my daughters are very familiar with fire, hammer, water. They're very familiar with, and they're very familiar with the need for somebody to help them into the next level of their life. I have one daughter that just graduated from college. She is already looking for a mentor in her life that can do fire, hammer, water as she moves into her mid-20s. Love it. She's learning. To a degree, she lets me do that. Okay, but again, I'm dad, so it's not always the best, you know. My other daughter, who's 16, coming into her junior year, she knows the value of it. She's still trying to decide if she wants to embrace the value of it, or if she already has it all figured out.
She has it all figured out right now.
Oh yeah, and that's, you know, when you're young, you know it all.
Beauty of being a 16.
Exactly. Does that make sense? So that's the process. That's how life does it. Fire, hammer, water. And the importance for us to have somebody in our life, whether it is on a personal basis or whether it is as an entrepreneur and building a company, I need somebody to help me understand the fire, hammer, and water that are going on. Whether it be in a marriage, I need somebody to help me to understand what is the fire, hammer, and water that's going on here in my marriage. I'm trying to raise these children. Driving me crazy. I need somebody to give me perspective on that. Because it's only when I have perspective that I will be able to approach things with patience. Okay? You guys okay with this?
Yeah.
All right. So I've got the steps here. Number 1, we decide to grow. Number 2, or B here, we prepare the soil. C, after we prepare the soil, we go over here to actually planting the seeds. D is we nurture and care. And then the final one we'll get into, E, which we actually get to harvest the fruit. Okay? But I've got a few exercises in here that I want to draw your attention to. First of all, I'm preparing the soil. I've got an exercise on page 12 I want you guys to do for homework. Okay? I call it the 4 wheels of health. And you're going to, I think the instructions are pretty self-explanatory there, but you're just going to rate yourself on a scale, I think it's a scale from 1 to 7, with 7 being the highest, on how you feel like you're doing, for instance, on the physical scale. If you go to the right, it says, free from addictive behaviors. How do you feel like you're doing with that on a scale of 1 to 7? 7 being the very best, 1 or 0 being not good at all. Being free from addictive behaviors. You'll put a little dot on that line. And then as you come up to the top with activity and exercise. How are you doing with that exercise? Is it a 7? Is it a 0? Is it somewhere in between? You'll just put a little dot on that line. And then once you get all 4 dots on those lines, you'll connect those dots with a circle. And then you take a look at how your circle compares to the big circle. Does that make sense? And now it's like, uh-oh, I see an area where I may need to grow or expand my capacity in my physical life. Same thing for emotions and so on. Is that fair enough? Okay. And I have it in, and again, girls, I don't know that the goal is to have everything at 7. Okay? I don't know that that's the goal. So again, I'm not your school teacher here saying, go make 100 on the test. I think the very first goal is to simply understand where I am in this thing. To understand it, to go, oh, okay, here's where I am. Oh, I suck. No, stop it. You're evaluating yourself by that old system that you learned in school. I'm not making 100%. I suck. No, that doesn't fit in life. It fits in school, but it doesn't fit in life. Fair enough? Yeah. Okay, so I want to encourage you to do this exercise. And then, second one, planting the seeds. Where do I need to be planting seeds? What seeds do I need to get? Here's another evaluation form for you to take a look at. Another scale thing for you to fill out. Just to give you an idea, what type of seeds do I need to have planted in my garden? It's not just random stuff. There's probably very specific seeds to be sown. And then, finally, on number 15, you guys have all heard of the concept of a greenhouse, right? Why greenhouses allow plants to grow well year-round and all that kind of stuff. Well, this exercise on page 15 is actually going to be a short evaluation of your greenhouse. And if you're like most humans, you will fill this thing out and you'll go, I suck. My greenhouse is not in good shape. That might be a big reason why growth has been difficult. Growth has been seasonal for you because you haven't learned how to build the greenhouse to where you can grow year-round. So there are times of great growth, but then there's time when the sun comes out in your life and you're parched and you're just like, this is terrible. There's like this death season called winter. So, oh my gosh, where things, relationships are ending and jobs are ending. It's like nothing's working at all. And then all of a sudden another season, oh my gosh, things are awesome. Things are going great, And it just, life becomes seasonal. I think there's some of that. But your greenhouse that you develop will help you live and thrive in each one of those seasons. Okay? So it's a few exercises. That's going to be your homework. So we move through. Read the notes and do these exercises. And next week we'll talk about questions you have. Come next week with a question. Okay, everybody needs to come with a question or a comment.